All right, so we've constructed our website finally, but what we need to do now is make it adaptive. So we've got the issue where as the site gets smaller, we're going to see that things start to break. Let's see, if I grab this right there, you can see the menu item starting to drop down, the menu item dropping down. It doesn't look good. As we squeeze in, we're going to see that these icons stop looking good. The subscribe field here, the form field, doesn't look good, and we want to fix those things. And what we want to use is a media query to do this. And a media query, it's an at media is what you use. You use at media, and then you set max widths. And there are different breakpoints. You could do a little bit of research, but there's breakpoints based on the size of the screen that you're going to be using. So in fact, if you're using too large of a screen, you actually want to set maybe some max widths so that the screen won't stretch out. I'm not going to focus on this today, making things viewable on like a large screen TV, but we certainly could do that. It wouldn't be too difficult. But right now my page has been designed, it's designed more for this size range. So when you get to the small laptop level, that's when this top menu is starting to break. Right there, that's at about the small laptop level. So what you can do is use the at media query. So we can go in here and say, hey, let's make an adjustment. Let's make a comment here. Adjust for small laptop screens. And we'll just make a minor adjustment initially, and then we'll adjust for tablets. So you're going to do the at media. You go at media, and the max width is going to be, so what you see here is they've got a max width of 1024. If you go below that, you need to adjust for the fact that there's not enough screen space to display things. My page probably needs to start adjusting at about 1100 pixels. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to say, hey, well, let's do their setting 1024. They had set it for 1024 pixels. So if I hit save, and then what I want to do is say, hey, where is that breaking? That's breaking up in the header section. It's breaking up in the header section. And what I want to do is stop the floats. This division here is floating to the right, and this one's floating left. And if I remove the floats, it should get rid of this breaking that you're seeing. So all I need to do is slip up to the top of my CSS and up by where my header is. And it's really my logo division and my navigation list items that I have floating. So if I grab those guys, just grab these real quickly and copy and paste those down into my media query. I'm going to have to apply some indentation to these to get them indented correctly. I don't need to do any modifications to the span, so I'm going to get rid of that. And I don't need to modify that. But what I want to do is get rid of the float left. And so I'm going to change this from float left to float none. No floating. And we're going to change these from float right to float none. So these are the elements up in the header, and I'm going to tell them not when the pixel size of the screen, the pixel width of the screen gets to 1024 or below, stop floating. So I'm going to save this, and you can see what's going to happen. This other stuff I don't need to have, but I'm going to want to adjust it later, so it's okay to keep it there. So now if I refresh my page, what I will see is as I squeeze in, when I hit the 1024 pixel mark, my two divisions are going to be one on top of the other. And you can see it happens not quite fast enough. The places starts to go underneath that doesn't look good, there's the 1024. So what I need to do is widen that pixel out a little bit to make it safer. So maybe 1050, even 1100 right there, so that the menu items modify a little bit more quickly. So now if I bring it back out, there's my original website. Now as I squeeze in and I lose real estate, when I get to 1050 pixels, the left and right floats stop, and now I have something that looks okay on a laptop. It doesn't look broken. Stuff down here still looks good. Stuff down here still looks good. So I'm not going to worry too much. There's maybe a little bit too much padding in here, but I'm not going to worry about it quite yet. So notice that the next thing we're identifying as needing to be worried about is around the 768 pixel mark where iPads and tablets run. So anything between this range is going to be iPad, tablet-y. If you get below 480 pixels, you're talking mobile devices, your smartphones. So we're going to make another @media query for 768 pixels. So I'm just going to head and copy and paste this code. And then I'm going to change this to 768 because we're going to want to start to change our behavior again. I'm going to save that. And what you want us to do is squeeze in and see what starts to break. See what starts to break so you can think about the things that you might need to fix. So as I squeeze in, I'm looking pretty good up there, but there's a breaking that happens, but that might be more mobile phony. Come down and look at these items as you squeeze, as we squeeze in on these guys, what starts to break? Well, now the icons are starting to look bad because they're not filling the space that's available. And then this is going to break here in a moment as well. Right there. So first thing I can see, this is my newsletter division, and what I need to do is get rid of the float left and the float right that we put on these two divisions that are within that division. So if I go into up to the code from earlier, we can say, where was that? That's below the showcase newsletter. That was subscribe and the subscribe division and the newsletter.content division. Those are the two that had the floats. So let's grab those. So I'm going to copy those and drag them down into the @media query. And I'm going to paste it in, which is going to force me to tab these to get indenting right. And first we'll remove the floats, so we'll say none. And none, no floats. And then save that and see what that does. So now you can see we start and we're sliding down, and bang, we got the tablet size and the floats were removed. But now you can see we have another issue. We've got padding that probably needs to be added to the bottom, because now this subscribe submit button is right against the bottom border. So I need to go and say, hey, where did I put the padding? So I put padding on the top of 1.2 ems, but there was no padding put on the bottom, so I probably need to add padding to the bottom. And because the screen size is getting smaller, I probably don't want to add as much padding, so maybe 1 em instead of 2. And in fact, the top padding maybe will back off to 1 em instead of 2. And in fact, the text inside of here, which was at 1.5 ems, maybe we want to do font size and start backing the font sizes off maybe to 1 em instead of 2 ems. So up here, the subscribe division will back the padding on the top off in that one. We'll add padding to the bottom, 1 em. And then we'll take and maybe make the font size 1 M instead of 1.5 M's, and maybe we can even start doing that on more of these. Maybe start backing the navigation padding off, the logo padding off. Go ahead and save and see how that's looking. So refresh. So we slide in, we lose our floats, we added padding to the bottom, decreased the font sizes a little bit. See how the font size changed right there up in the header. And then the other thing is these have gotten pretty small, so maybe instead of 4 across we want to do 2 across. So I'm going to go up and get the icon divisions that we use to make these. So I'm going to go up and grab, copy and paste the icons. We're going to leave it as float left because that's what it's allowing them to be back to back against each other. We'll paste icons in, and now maybe instead of 25%, which lets 4 of the divisions take up 100% of the space, maybe we change this to 50% and save that. And then refresh. And there's 4, so I'm going to need to extend the max height on the services division. That's going to be a change that needs to be made as well. So now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go div pound. That was the services division, div pound services. And because I'm stacking them too high now, I can't spell because it's like after midnight. Services. We're going to take the max height and increase it to allow for, we were at 200 pixels for the max height before. I'm going to extend it to 400 pixels because I'm double stacking those boxes now because there's only 2 to a row. So let's save that and see how that looks. Did I save it here? I'm not so sure that I did. Div pound, let's see, div pound services, max height 400 pixels. Control save and control refresh. And I'm making a mistake somewhere because the max height isn't changing. Have I spelled it right? That's pairing with that. That's pairing with that. That is the services division I'm trying to change, yes. Run up and look at the services up here. Oh, not. Okay, that's the mistake. It's not supposed to be max height. I want min height to get it to look right. There we go, min height. And that's just to take into account that as these icons are taking up less space and we make that shift into 2 rows of 2 instead of 1 row of 4, we're going to have more height needed this direction to space things out with the footer on the bottom. So that looks pretty good. We just want to look one more time and make sure we think we have all of the tablet adjustments we want. And then we'll worry about smartphone in the next video. So that looks okay. That looks okay. And these, just checking one more time. That looks pretty good. So we're beginning to get our adaptability. We just need to make one more move to get it ready to adapt for smartphones.